Hello everyone, welcome to Makeup Brie. My name is Em and today's video is a little unorthodox. It's a little bit different. I've done some videos like this in the past and I really enjoyed doing them, and the response that I've gotten to this kind of video was actually quite positive, so I decided to do one for the 4th of July. Some of what I say will be tongue-in-cheek, however there's a lot of truth to what I say, so please don't take it too offensively or too seriously because this is just makeup at the end of the day. I might offend you, I might not, you might find some truth, you might find it interesting or entertaining. Who knows? But disclaimer is over, let's get started. I primed my face and moisturized it. Basically, I'm likening the priming of my face to, wiping away generations and generations of indigenous peoples to make way and room for new settlements and farmlands. And then I put foundation on to whitewash my face, make it look like it's all homogeneous, Just because, some things always pop through, you really gotta hide it. This loudmouth right here needs to be silenced, so I'm going to take a concealer and pop that over the top in hopes that, they stay silent. Because homogeneity is more important than hearing that unique voice. And you just pat, 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 and eventually it goes away. You keep hitting at it, hitting it. Oh, this one came up too. Gotta hide that one. Nope, everything needs to be bland and exactly the same. Get these other ones here and the chin. Oh nope, just a slight little pink here, but you know what, I'm just gonna wipe that concealer there too, just to make sure that pink knows it needs to stay hidden. I'm gonna come in and hide the dark circles under my eyes as well, kind of hiding the fact that mothers had cried over their lost children and lost culture, wondering if their children would survive in this new world. And then I'm going to take some powder and pop that all over just to make sure I bury everything and cover it up and really make sure that nobody can break through. So that way everything stays in place. I don't want anything to challenge the status quo and stick out, so I'm really going to bury everything. I'm going to seal it using a setting spray. This is going to give off the appearance that everything is meshed together, although deep in the surface this stuff still exists. Whew. Doesn't taste very good, much like the contaminated water that exists in impoverished communities down south. So the 4th of July celebrates rebellion. It celebrates the fact that early white colonists didn't want to be taxed without representation, and King George would not hear their complaints, and the taxes that were imposed were seen to be unfair. So, the United States just kind of broke into tyranny and did the rebellion. So, they did stuff like Boston Tea Party. They destroyed a lot of property, but it really sent a message to the monarchy that, you gotta listen to us, but, they're white folks, so they meant no harm. Except they did, but they didn't. Since we're celebrating a rebellion, I thought I would do a rebellious kind of punky look because why not? I am going to take a red base, a red cream base. This is very much like the color of dried blood, from all the lives lost with westward expansion. I'm going to pat this over the lid. Just going to do really light tapping motions, and I'm going to do under the eye too. So it's going to look like a hot bloody mess. And it's not going to be pretty, because let's just face it, warfare isn't pretty. Rebellion was never pretty. But it gives you a really nice result in the end. You get what you want, right? Because freedom was found for our people. Well, only specific people, anyway. All this bloodshed is going on around my eyes, and I just realized there's not a lot of structure going on here, much like the early days of the United States government. So we're going to go back in and add a little bit of structure. Create some laws on the face saying, thou shalt not be unstructured. I'm going to use a fiber gel to push my brows up, to emulate the fact that the United States was founded on uplifting white men and property rights. And it'll be a loose brow because, let's just face it, laws are loose. They're not set in stone. They're not equally applied to everybody. They don't need to be perfect because laws aren't perfect. There's always loopholes. But man, from afar, it looks like I've got these great freedom brows. To be completely honest, I don't know what I'm doing right now, and I'm just kind of winging it. But I guess that's kind of how America goes. I mean, look at the politicians. They don't really know what they're doing. They're just winging it as well. Just hoping to maintain some power and control. That's what I'm kind of trying to do with my own eyes here. I'm trying to create some structure so it looks like there's some sort of solidarity here, some unity, some grand master plan. Alright, let's go back to the eyes. I'm going to use a sponge to kind of tap away some of this red, soften it up, you know, just like history books soften up the real live events that happened in history to people of color and all the bloodshed that truly happened in our country. Yeah, we'll just kind of blot it out, soften it up, make it look a little better than it really is. The stain is still there. I mean, you can't completely obliterate that, or can you? But we still want it to show up because, you know, America was founded on rebellion, so it's got to look like we're rebellious. Oop. One of those little things just reared its ugly head. It's a little loud, but it's washed in the pink, so no one's going to really pay attention. They're only going to be looking at other things. We're just going to hide it all. On the eyes, I'm going to take a red eyeshadow on a really dense brush and pop that here on the outer corner. This red is going to intensify, just like the pain was intensified with all the bloodshed that happened. So once, you know, the blood is already shed, we're going to go in and just soften it up, make it look like it was all in the name of freedoms, because, you know, freedom isn't free, really. The bloodshed is for a good cause, so this is all for a good cause. Let's soften it up and make it look way prettier than it really is. From afar, it doesn't look very pretty, but neither does America's true history. But, you know, we're just going to pretend it looks amazing because my eyes are sacrificed today, and it has to be for an amazing reason, right? In the outer edge, I'm going to take a deep purple mixed in with a navy blue because I don't have the exact shade I want. But that's okay. We make history look the way we want it to anyway. Really going to tap that in here. Really deepen that up. Take it here. Got to make it look like it's equal even though it's really not, because you can never make it truly equal. And soften that up too. And don't worry, you know, fallout's okay. We'll get over it. We can always clean it up later. That's what they say about most people who rebel anyway, right? Let them rebel. They're not going to be able to do much. We can make people ignore them by just kind of, you know, fuzzing out those edges, making it look like it was all meant to be that way anyway. You know, this is not looking quite right to me. You know, I think it needs a little bit of white to highlight the center of the lid. So I'm just going to smear some white here because we always have to center white and everything. You know, it turned pink, but it's okay. We'll always make it fit where it doesn't quite belong, because the white always needs to go in the center of everything. Kind of fade everything into the white because that's just how culture works. Everything becomes white. You know, there's still not enough white there, so we really have to center this white and really let it pop up there, because otherwise no one's going to trust that this is truly a rebellious American look. Let's use my finger instead. Let's really work that into the other colors here. Well, it's not going to be pure white because, let's just face it, no person is truly pure. So instead we're going to disguise it with some glitter. Glitter is like the successes of white people. It's shiny, it's bright, and it covers up a multitude of sins. And this one reflects blue because blue bloods are like the people who everyone aspires to. I'm going to use a flat brush and some glitter glue. You want to make sure the shiny success doesn't go too far into these outer colors because the white is what really needs to shine. You know, there can be a little bit here and there, but the white feels a little threatened if it sees too much success and too much shiny glitter show up on the other parts of the eye. When the others start getting more, it's like, nope, this white needs just a little bit more because, you know, everyone's got to be treated equally. But it does make a pretty mess, you know, because generationally that success needs to be passed down. We're going to pass it down to just this center area where that white would naturally go down, but I'm not going to smooth it out across the other parts of the eye because, let's just face it, that's not how it works in American society. And we're going to blend that seam just so it looks like from afar that everything's equal, but we all know that the center is the most important here. Because that's what everyone's going to see anyway, right? I'm going to add a little bit of white dots here. So they're going to be like the stars that guide people home, right? We're going to focus white where it'll show up the most. So I know stripes would make more sense for an American look, right? But, you know, stars, even if they're just dotted on, look kind of cool. And to be honest, spots like this are actually more true to history because there's always spots and blemishes that from afar you can barely see. Like, you can't forget it. You know, I could do stripes and bars, but no one really wants to pay attention to who's wearing them. They don't matter. Alright, now for some black liner. I'm going to line the top lash line here. Line it black like those souls. Like the pits of the souls of the people who enslaved others and stole their land and stole their children. Got to make sure I put this line up because otherwise success might travel down to areas it shouldn't belong. Now, from afar, this is really starting to look pink and not as red as I thought it would be. I don't know. What do you think? Do I need to add some more red to just really make this stand out? Because I feel like unless we have enough of this red, we're just really not gonna understand what's going on here. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more. Really deepen this up. Now we gotta make sure we keep everything in line. This part is just going to really anchor the look. Gotta make sure that the successful glitter doesn't travel down that way. Now I'm gonna take another liner and I'm just gonna smudge this all along the bottom lash line and on the waterline. Closes off the eye, but you know, we gotta close our border somehow, right? Keep everything in line. And then take a little brush and just smudge it out. It's really gonna be pulled down. Just keep smudging this out and keeping this black line moving downwards because even though the eye is getting smaller and it makes it hard to see the eye, you know, that's okay. As long as, you know, the overall picture looks good and everybody sees the shiny success up top, no one cares. You know what? I don't feel like the laws, or excuse me, my brows, have enough structure to them to really stand out amongst what's going on in my eye. So I'm just going to add a bit more on. There we go. Now you can really see how this just kind of piles on over the top and it's really structuring everything. It's not really the right shade. It doesn't really match everything, but you know what? It's one of those things where this is a product that's kind of like a one size fits all, and if it doesn't work, then you just make it work because, you know, that's just how American society works. Like, if you don't speak English here, then you're not American and you gotta go back to your country. That's kind of how it works. As if the eyebrow hair doesn't work in this with this brow color, it's just gotta, you know, fit the mold. Otherwise I'll just pluck it out, shave it off. These don't look identical at all. We're gonna pretend that they are because as long as we ignore the fact that they're not identical, but they're there, they exist, I think that's all that matters. I mean, that's how laws are, right? Like, they don't have to be equal for everyone as long as they're there and, you know, you can see them. The only ones you're gonna see is the centered space of this white color that dominates everything. So everything else just doesn't matter because this frames and makes that, the white, really stand out. And take a larger brush and really just feather this out here. Kind of drown it out, fade out the masses, just like they did with my ancestors. Eventually it will just kind of fade into the whiteness. No one will remember because you don't see it. Just kind of gone. Hide the blemishes. Okay, we gotta make these lashes stand up. You know, lashes in general, just like the economy, work to keep things separate. You know, they protect this centered space from intruders. It creates a clear barrier and separation here. This glitter is not gonna trickle down, but yet my lashes are something to aspire to. It's like this economy lifts people up. It keeps the status quo where it needs to be, protects this white centered space from intruders. So anything below this just can't come upward. Should have really used a red line for that. Really thinking about it, redlining makes more sense. So these lashes are really getting a good coat and being pushed up as barriers of entry to this centered space, and will also prevent this white centered successful glitter from trickling down. We might as well do it on the bottom lash line too. We really got to make sure it doesn't trickle downward. So we're going to put a little bit more of a barrier there. We need some red glitter. I think we really need to make that pop. So I'm going to go back into the glitter glue, dip that in. I'm going to pop it here in the center of the eye, and I'm going to let it drip down like a tear. Because let's just face it, many tears have been shed in this country. And, you know, if it gets in your eye and burns, it's okay. Because that's just how history works. You know, you can just get over it. It'll hurt for a little while, but you'll just get used to it. I think that's it for that. I feel like the 2 single tears are good enough. You know, we don't want it to look like America's too mean. Apply lip color. You know, we're gonna mute out the mouth, just really hide it because no one should have an opinion. And so we're just going to mute it out and make sure it kind of blends in with the fabric of the face. And, you know, we gotta make it look like everything's all hunky-dory, so we're just going to make it a little shiny. Make it look like it's a good idea. And then I'm going to take some bronzer because we got to baste this history with some cultural appropriation while we're at it, because as much as we hate dark, if we put it in the right spot and we make ourselves look like it's all natural, then it's okay, because it's just makeup. Because it shines and it sparkles, it's okay. You know it's not real. We won't want to be dark skinned for forever. I think that's it. So this, my friends, is a mask. It is inspired by Rebellion, some of the punk looks from the 70s and 80s, but it also reminds me of a warrior mask from my native culture. The red represented the blood spilled and the connection of blood through people and family. The other colors represent peace and returning to the earth and being connected to the spirit. So I was also inspired by that. It represents a lot of different things to me, and the intent of this video is not to demonize being patriotic or being proud of being American. My hope is that we'll acknowledge America's shameful history and work forever to correct that and make reparations and make sure that Black, Indigenous, and other people of color have true equity and the ability to have equality. Our country was founded on the premise of having equality for all and being able to pursue happiness, and when that only applies to a certain class of people, a certain skin color, then there's no true equality, and the premise of the 4th of July or Independence Day is a farce. It can be a painful reminder every year that while the white Americans have true freedoms, there's some people in this country who don't get to share in those same freedoms, be it educational freedom, economic freedom, the ability to pursue the American dream, as we call it. If you choose to celebrate the 4th of July, I hope it is a safe holiday and that you have fun, and that maybe you take a moment of remembrance to remember the sacrifices made to keep our country free. For all of our servicemen and women who are still overseas, to those who have served in years past, to those who've never made it home, to those who made it home but maybe not in spirit. Let's just be thankful for the ability to make progress and to continue moving forward, to have complete freedom and equality for all people. Let's continue to strive towards that. Black lives matter, Indigenous lives matter, and I appreciate you being here today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay electric as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye!